Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Blue Gamer Bluecast Morning Show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, 30 plus year video game enthusiast and industry analyst. And today, for May 27th, 2025, we'll go through the latest gaming news, what I've been playing, and all that stuff. But good morning. Good to see you, Ultron Mission, JMKLX. All right. Well, this was a pretty interesting weekend, and yeah, that's right. I didn't have a stream yesterday because it's actually Tuesday. We had Memorial Day. And it was so funny creeping up to the weekend. I had totally forgot that I had asked for Friday off. And it worked out because the Gundam Seed Battle Destiny Remastered came out. And so I timed that well. And I had a lot of fun. My weekend was mainly playing that game. I did play a few other games, but it was mainly that game. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit. There will be a review up tomorrow on the Gundam Explained YouTube channel. Spoiler alert, I liked it a lot. But yeah, let's start there. Let's start with what I played this weekend. So, hey, Chris, good to see you. Yeah, I jumped into some Halo Infinite. My youngest was interested in playing some Halo Infinite, so we still have the issue with the backlight on the TV. TV backlights don't work downstairs for some reason. Weird thing we got to figure out, whatever. So we put the Series X upstairs. So he'd play on the Series X, I'd play on my Xbox. And it's interesting because this is the difference with Nintendo and Microsoft. So the Series X is not my home console. There's an Xbox we have in the house that's a home console. But with my Series X, how does it work? If someone signed in, I'm signed into it, I could be on my PC, play a Game Pass game. My son could be on his account, but using my Game Pass to play with me. So it's really cool how Xbox has it built in, pretty easy to do co-op on one account or one game, as long as it's purchased, on the console. Nintendo Switch did have that, but they are changing it up now. So it's interesting that they're doing that. Okay, so I know that you saw the Discord, the Texas anime bill has passed the House. Yeah, let's see what happens with that. Okay, and then also Jim Killex, you've been playing the Gundam game also? I'll have to show you my control settings. Okay, also Sniper Elite Resistance. My son brought this up to play. I'm glad he wanted to play these games over the weekend. But yeah, Sniper Elite Resistance obviously came out beginning this year, and I loved it. I talked about it a lot. I played it. I beat it. Still have a lot I could do in it. So I like the idea that he'd want to play it. So then I can go through and get all the other little collectibles and challenges that I haven't got yet. All right, and then wife wanted to play some more It Takes Two, but we're on a weird level where there's a lot of camera movement and it makes her sick. So we ended up stopping early. All right, and then we come to Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Battle Destiny Remastered. I have 21 hours into it, which is pretty crazy considering it came out Wednesday. And I've got my full-time job during the day, and I stream and make videos. It was the luck of, again, asking for Friday off, having a holiday weekend, that I was able to put so much time in this game. And I totally forgot that I had planned that out by having the Friday off. So with having that time available to me and playing the Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Battle Remastered Destiny, such a long title, I will say this is an excellent and fun game. Full review tomorrow on the Gundam Explained channel. It's a video review where I discuss, it's about 10 minutes of me talking about why the game works today. Not even talking about it as a Gundam game, just as a video game. What's going into this? Take into account it only being on Switch and PC, and it being a port of Vita, it being an Unreal, not only as a game, but then also as part of the Gundam franchise, Gundam IP. What does this do? And so if you're interested in that detailed analysis, that will be dropped tomorrow on the Gundam Explained channel. So other than that, I think I played a little Doom Dark Ages because I threw it on to show my brother. And Let's see. Yeah, and that's about it. But it was fun. There was a lot of little things going on. I mean, I guess with the other games, I didn't spend too much time. It was mainly with the Battle Destiny remastered. So, um, Uh, but I wish you could alter controls mid-mission. Oh, I see what you mean exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. Also, sound too. I wanted to make some sound adjustments, but you can't do it. I forgot to bring that up. It's like a little thing, but it's also a big thing nowadays to be able to at will anytime. Yeah, good point. Okay, let's jump into some news. Let's see. Exclusive all PlayStation Days of Play discounts revealed. So we won't spend too much time on this. I'm okay. So for instance, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, although that is on PC. That's one I always wanted to play because it's kind of like a PS5 exclusive. Never played it. It's only 20. We'll go down here and I'll just see if there's anything else. I'm getting an itching to play Spider-Man 2 because I never beat it. I actually didn't like it when I played it, but I feel like I'm getting to this next phase in the gaming timeline where I'm wanting to do a little bit of that type of gameplay loop. I think just after getting off of Gundam Seed Battle Remastered. Because in Spider-Man it's a little deeper, so now I'm craving, okay, let's do that, but a little deeper. And then, yeah, we'll go down here real quick. A Neo collection is 20. If you guys got PlayStation, Neo is awesome. A Neo collection. So I'm guessing 1 and 2. Anything else? Whoa, there's a Spider-Man 2 collector's edition that's 229 and it's on sale for 129. That's insane. And then it looks like there's going to be some hardware discounts, but these are like covers or something. I mean, that is actually pretty cool. That's just kind of expensive. So, yeah, from this, I don't. Okay, VR2, PSVR2 is going to be reduced by 50. I don't know. I don't know. And it's very interesting to even think of like nowadays, how much do I need to invest in gaming hardware, knowing that we don't know where it's going to go. But then I think of like Nintendo and Switch 2, their whole thing isn't going to go away anytime soon. But then I think with PlayStation, like I was just looking at that Sackboy Adventure game and I was like, wait a minute, that's on PC now too. I could just be playing it on PC. Stellar Blade's coming out next month, you know. Um, Call me when they got 5 and below games. I know, that's why I love Steam. I wish PlayStation did that. There's a few times I've been lucky, like when it's I think they had Dead or Alive 6 DLC, like, the season passes are like $30 and then randomly, luckily, it was like 5 or something. Not gonna lie, I forgot Switch 2 is even a thing. Yeah, it's funny like that. And actually, let's go to that next one. So I'm mainly wanting to get it because Mario Kart World looks so fun. But Mario Kart World development began in 2017. It was nearly on Switch 1, not Switch 2. So it's interesting to think back, to consider back when Nintendo planned it to have a Switch 2 out. It was probably last year. Maybe, I don't know. And so just thinking of the games that they had in the making, that it's interesting how if you went from Super Nintendo to N64, it wasn't a matter of Nintendo being like, well, we've got these games in the hopper for SNES, and then I guess we'll just release them on N64. No, I mean, they had to make completely new games with completely new graphic engines and gameplay. So that's why this is a little weird when you think, well, Mario Kart World could have been on Switch 1. And then, they just went ahead because Mario Kart 1 or 8. Oh my God, there's so many Mario Kart. Mario Kart 8 has sold so much. Isn't it like the highest selling game of all time or something? Um, so they might as well just kind of wait. Because Mario Kart 8 came out on the Wii U. Just think about that. Mario Kart 8 originally was out on the Wii U, and then it just got DLC for the Switch. So the Switch never had a proper Mario Kart game. Wii did, GameCube did, N64 did, SNES did, but not Switch. Isn't that interesting? Huh. This is the first time after NES. Um, the idea to shift gears towards the Switch 2 happened as early as 2020, Sato explained. When we were developing for Nintendo Switch, we often worried whether we could find the right balance between planning and performance. Of course, the Switch system's performance is sufficient for developing different kinds of games, but if we had included everything we wanted to in this game's vast world, that wouldn't have run at 60 FPS and would have suffered. So I like that thought, but it's still weird that we didn't get a Mario Kart on the Switch. Again, we got the Wii U Mario Kart. Interesting. Okay, I got the Anthem Special Edition for like 3. Oh. Hey, and were you able to play through a lot of that, actually? Even though it's like, I know it's multiplayer, but I mean, it might still let you. I'm curious. Okay, I talked about this a little bit before, but Star Wars Battlefront 2 smashes all-time Steam numbers by bolstered by social media campaigns. So I think the revival came back probably due to May the 4th and Andor 2, all that. And then, so Steam saw 18,635 players, the highest number of concurrent players achieved on the platform since it was released. And I think this says a lot. This says like EA or Lucasfilm, whoever it's supposed to be, Disney, like you can keep a persistent Star Wars game going. As long as you do right by it, it will continue to succeed. And okay, and with Anthem, you can play as long as you have PS Plus. I never got okay. I'm curious. I remember I played a little bit of Anthem, but not enough. I would be curious. So, I played. I feel like I do this every time, but I'm going to do it again. Like Battlefront 2, 429 hours on Xbox One, and not even all the achievements. It's pretty crazy. 60. Oh, that was the other Battlefront one. 55 hours on PS4. So, like, I know this game and I love this game because they made it better. Okay. And that's what's interesting. And so I want to talk about that next. So, Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation 2 came out July 26, 2018 in Japan. Now, I wasn't into Gundam yet, but I want to say it was shortly after that I got into Gundam, and then I bought the game. I used an Japanese account or Asian account so I can play the game, and I had fun. I was able to play it. I did not think it would ever get a US release, but then over a year later, think about that. Over a year later is when they decided to release it in Western territories. If we look at Battlefront 2, that came out December 13th, 2017. And when I first played it, November 2017. And when I first played it, I hated it because the way they did the monetization and the progression system, it didn't make sense. So March 21st, 2018 is when the progression update overhaul came into Battlefront 2 and completely changed the game. And then from then on out, this game was insane. It's not even, this list doesn't have everything to like, unless it's updated, add new appearances and the Planet Felucia. In between that was when they added all the Clone Wars stuff that was insane. Let's see. And then, 2019 Rise of Skywalker, and then 2020 Age of Rebellion, and then 2020 Battle of Scarif was added. Which was great. And what's interesting this whole time is it was amazing how the graphics looked and how the game ran. And again, we're not Unreal Engine. This is EA's, I know what it's called. I just forgot what it was called. What's that engine DICE uses. But anyway, it's going to be at the tip of my tongue forever. And I think when you have those engines like that, it allows you to do a little more. I don't know. So, and then, but if we go back to Gundam Battle Operation 2, so let's see, April 29th, 2020 was Battlefront 2's last update. But after the 2019 release in English territories, we had the 2021 PS5 Enhanced version, 2022 had the GBO Spring Festival. Let's not forget that there's like at least one new mobile suit that comes out every week since the game came out. November 24th, 2022. Featured Black Friday content, new suits, and balance adjustments 2023. And then we're even into May 2025. It's crazy to think all the things that have been released. Because in what I'm trying to get at here is I consider Gundam the Star Wars of Japan. And so for what is the Star Wars in the US doing? It's like, well, they did, and I feel like these games all need to have a constant, persistent, ongoing like war game that's always happening, whatever that may be. Star Wars has always kind of done that by having Battlefront 2, and then they redid, they had all those other side Battlefront games, and then they made, like on PSP and stuff, and then they made the newer Battlefront and Battlefront 2. And Gundam has sort of done things. I mean, this is Gundam Battle Operation 2. Obviously, this is the sequel. But what I'm saying is both of these IPs in their respective territories have these areas they sit in. And so it's interesting to see that the US, and they do this a lot with their IPs, after some time, they just give up and move on. And I notice with Japanese content, they tend to do long-term things. I mean, this is even Nintendo's general strategy. I think the way they're able to be so successful and still do anti-consumer things is because of their kind of long-term strategies with everything they do. So where EA, Disney, whoever you want to say messed up here is by after 2020 just forgetting about Star Wars. In most everyone, not everyone, a lot of people did too, because after that, we were getting things like, the Obi-Wan show, the Boba Fett show, even the Acolyte. It's kind of like, what's going on with Star Wars? It's kind of weird. We could have at least had this ongoing game that's continuing to double down on what people like about Star Wars, and that's really the weapons involved when there's a rebellion against a space empire. I mean, I think that's the root of what we like about Star Wars, with sprinkling a little of that fantasy Jedi stuff. We look at Gundam Battle Operation 2, and it just keeps going. It's trying to like add all the suits, maps, even new game types. And, Star Wars did that for a while too, and they did a great job, but I feel like they stopped too early when they don't need to. And again, by this weekend showing that Steam had the highest player count since it released, all you really need to do to get Star Wars Battlefront 2 top of mind is just keep it in the news. Keep Star Wars related stuff where you're doing this sort of thing. There's a lot of synergy with Gundam. A lot of times in BO2, a suit comes out, and then there's either a Gunpla, a Robot Spirits, or something. And then there's the mobile games that have and they don't do the synergy all the time. In fact, Star Wars probably does synergy better. Let's be honest. But in this case, the video game Star Wars Battlefront 2, they should have kept it going even till today, adding things as they've added stuff to shows or movies. Because even if the shows or movies didn't give people what they wanted, maybe playing it in video game form allows you to live more of that sort of imagination side of what you get out of Star Wars. Like with Andor, they could have there weren't any really big battles in Andor. That would be hard to do, but you could do like adjacent little skirmishes that would have been in proximity. But that's what I mean. You could take those elements that people like from Star Wars, like the fighters, the weapons, and then sprinkle them in. So here's the thing that I am wondering about next. Are we getting a Star Wars Battlefront 3 anytime soon? Is it in the making? Could it be in the making? And are we getting the Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation 3? My thought is a Battle Operation 3 is more likely to happen than a Battlefront 3, only because the way what's going on with companies. When it comes to Star Wars, it's different than Gundam. These companies pump a lot of money into the Star Wars video games, whereas with the Gundam IP, Bandai does not put a lot of money into the Gundam video games. So it is just so interesting to see the differences in which these two IPs, which are similar to their respective territories, are treated in video game form. If I call the reboot Battlefront 2 is a fun chaotic mess for what it is, still prefer the OG, but I enjoy the new one as well. Yeah, I prefer the OG due to just the space combat being blended in with the ground combat. But outside of that, man, I love how simulation-like new Battlefront 2 is. If I recall correctly, a game franchise failing is considered way worse there than here. Oh, that's interesting. And maybe that, well, that actually, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'd be curious about that because I look at like WB with the Zack Snyder Superman universe. They like gave up after Batman vs Superman, and that's kind of like the problem I have. So maybe, yeah, that's interesting because yeah, then they had to cut that Batgirl movie. Video games to do that. The Avengers PS4 game got me to mildly soften my thoughts on Miss Marvel. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, video games do that. They do. That's a good point. Okay, let's see. That was it with my main topics. I might jump early. If I don't have anything else, there's a little bit more coming out about Half-Life 3, but I don't know how much is this just people saying stuff that anyone could guess. Like it's the final chapter. There was some rumor about this story being sad, and I guess that would make sense if it's the final chapter. Hellblade 2 getting a physical version alongside a PS5 port. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's discounts we talked about. Yeah, I think that's something in Dallas. Team Vitality won IEM. I guess. Yeah, I don't. I'm not an esports guy. So we'll end it there. I don't really have much more to talk about news wise. It could just be the holiday weekend. There's not much. And I played myself out of wanting the game over the weekend. I just played so much that I don't feel like playing right now. So I'm gonna have to start getting work done. I got things to catch up on. So guys, it was a lot of fun. I'll be back tomorrow with some more game news. But until then, have a good one.